Hello, party people! I am your host. Yep, this guy. And this is a new episode in the Shapez BEASTMAM series. We are nearing the end of our journey through the decoder, and what a journey it has been, hasn't it? Today we open up the last subchapter, subchapter E, and it is called Cap and Prep. This funky term is short for capture and preparation. In other words, we are going to look at how successful decoder combinations get captured and locked in by the decoder, and then in upcoming videos we're also going to look at some ways in which we will still want to modify those output signals before they're ready to get shipped into the physical factory. But in this first episode of the final subchapter, we will look specifically at how the winning pieces are locked in. So this is the part of the machine we're looking at. This is where, if the decoder finds a solution, the outputs will get stored so that in turn they can serve as inputs to power the actual physical factory. And I thought, you know what, maybe I can kill two birds with one stone here and take advantage of this opportunity to recap everything we've seen so far. If I put a shape in and then we follow the signals along from A to Z, then we will pass by everything we've seen over the course of the series so far, see it in action, and eventually automatically end up here at the capture mechanism, which will then make much more sense. All right? So we are back at the hub, and I'm going to go to the wiring layer. I'm going to cut this wire. There we go. And then I'm going to put this particular shape right here. I'm going to put that in. It's a pretty easy shape. So, you know, for demonstration purposes, it will find the solution rather quickly. At least that's the idea. So we are just going to follow this signal along. Here it goes. This was a quick reset, and now we're just going to follow the line. So I'd say strap in because this signal is going to travel for a long time. All right, here we go. This is the first thing that we will encounter. So the signal, whenever it changes, it will trigger this brief intermission of a few tick intermission or interruption on the line, which will make sure that, you know, the machine gets some time to reset. Most modules have been created so that if you interrupt the input signal briefly, they will reset themselves, and that is why we do that here. So let's let this signal pass, and then we will follow it along further. Right, so travels left, passes by all the clocks, still a bit more, and then finally we get to here. This is the top left of the machine, right? So this signal travels here, and here immediately it will take a split. The first thing it will do right here is it's going to get unstacked, and it's going to go through a layer correction module so that the bottom layer is always going to be wire 1. We saw that. And then immediately it is going to move through this, which is going to emit code shapes that indicate how many quadrants we have on those layers, right? 1 quadrant, 2 quadrant, 3 quadrants, 4 quadrants. But we are actually going to follow the signal along right here. This is the module that is responsible for the code shape. So the signal goes in, and a few ticks later we get this code signal right here. This code signal will match right here, and this will emit, in this case, 6 times the same code on these bottom wires. These bottom wires serve as the side input for our initial clock. So these signals are ready right here. They're ready to be loaded. And in the meantime, the the actual signal of the shape has also traveled here. It has triggered a change detector. And in the meantime, this pulse has moved through all of these diodes right here. And you can see it is currently here. So if I move 2 more pulses, then the thing that will happen is, firstly, we are going to reset this clock right here. And then in the next tick, we are going to load these values into the clock. So they resonate with some of these comparing units right here, and they are going to shut down some of the wires that we will load into the clocks. What we also get is if the signal on this wire changes, which it just has, then it will also trigger a change signal right here. And this will briefly make sure that no signals actually get passed into the clocks. This is also for reasons of keeping everything conflict free. So you will see that this pulse briefly creates a conflict right here. And after 5 ticks, the signal will be allowed to pass. The signal will move into the first clock, where again, it is going to resonate in this case with this line. So there are 3 quadrants on the bottom layer, right? As you can see right here, 3 quadrants on the bottom layer, 2 red and 1 green. That's why we get the star signal right here. And that is why we are going to load up the triplet of green, blue, and white values. This thing right here, this change in signal, is going to trigger this, which in turn, again, is going to firstly reset the clock and then load up the values, like so. In the meantime, this signal has also triggered this line right here, which has been artificially delayed, so it doesn't start operating the clock before it is fully loaded up. But now that it has, the signal can get passed along, and now it will start cycling through the clock. So our output signal is right here. And here we have a tiny little mechanism that is going to remove that first false output we get, which is the white signal. The white signal is not the first signal that we want to get. The green signal is, right? And with this little mechanism, I make sure that we filter out that initial false positive, and the first one we actually get is the green value. So let's follow that along. This one moves through this wire, through this wire, through this wire, right here, right here, right here, right here, right here. And here, it is going to move into the module that will select the actual pieces. In the meantime, the actual pieces have also been loaded up. So we have a copy of our final signal that also runs right here. Here it also runs into this module, which is going to select which layers of the shape we currently want to check for. And then we saw this lane correction module that made sure that we will always get the outputs on the right-hand side, no matter how many quadrants there are on the layer. And that's why you can see we've got green, red, red, and empty. So this green signal, right, followed by the blue and the white and then the green again, they will travel through these lines of diodes. And now firstly, the green signal will resonate with this comparing unit, meaning that the top right quadrant of the first layer, that is the one we will start outputting first, right? There it goes. Now it is on this wire. And now we run everything into the brute force scaffolding pieces that we talked about. So they get stacked and they will come out here after 2 more ticks. Let's see. Yeah, so this starts cycling nicely. Then it moves into the nipper, so we cut away the scaffolding, and then it moves into the float piece selector. In the meantime, the float piece selector is powered, or it depends on this signal right here. Where does that signal come from? Well, it comes from right over here. This is a module where I took a copy of. Let's see where this signal comes from. Comes from all the way back. So here, it comes from the top level cycler, right? This is the signal that determines which floating piece we're checking. Here it is, here it is. It runs through this entire thing. And then here it is converted into the double value set that we also talked about. So this signal is converted into this signal, which tells the float checker that we are currently checking for duo floats that have a base layer 1, right? So this signal is going to serve as a side input for this. We extract the color from it, and the color is going to resonate with the part of the float checker that checks for shapes with 2 layers, right? So that is why these ones are connected to these transistors, and they are going to let the shapes pass. Currently, we only have shapes with 1 layer, and they don't get to pass. So let's move a few ticks ahead. Like so. This is the first value we get for an output, and then it cycles like this. All right. So let's follow the signal along. Here, they will move into a long chain of nothing but diodes, and all of this has the exclusive purpose of tick synchronization, right? So this process that we just followed, that we just looked at, is going to take place in all of the parallel clocks, and before all of that comes together, you know, we need a lot of synchronization right here. So we've got a bit of an artificial delay. These signals move through. There they go. There they go. And this is actually the last one to make it onto these lines, if I'm not mistaken. So now we are at our combination modules, the combiner modules. And the combiner modules, as you know, they are going to combine all of the float pieces that have the same base layer. Now, because we have a very easy example, in this case, we are going to have the same base layer for all of the shapes, and we are also going to get a lot of overlap, right? So the only signal that really changes is this one right here. But anyway, all of them will pass through this unit right here, because that is all of the, that's what applies to all of the lines right now. They don't apply to any other lanes. So the 5 of them will move through this module. They get combined, and out comes this piece right here. So let's move a few ticks along. You can see the changes gradually taking place, right? And then out comes this combined shape that will cycle through all of the options a few times. And yeah, in the meantime, we unstack that again, we layer correct it, we run it into these modules that are going to take the different pieces, extract the layers, and then put them together layer by layer. So the outputs come out here, right? In the meantime, what else do we have going on? Well, last episode, we talked about how we take copies of these lines and we feed them into the virtual SLPs, right? So simultaneously, the signals will travel through the SLPs as well as through the the reduction module, the subtraction module. And then out the other end come these signals. Let's see, we're gonna follow this one along. Yep, there we go. And we are going to follow this signal into the virtual SLP. It goes into the virtual SLP right here. We have another branch. We have the signal moving here horizontally, and we have the signal moving through these bottom modules right here that will extract the color from that shape. So we see that by the time it makes it here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now we are going to get a smelted and layer painted piece out here. We're going to follow that. Here it is. It's going to run into various of these comparing modules. We're already at the validator, but because I know which solution the machine is going to find, we're going to specifically look at this one. So this is the piece that I know because I've checked this piece, but this is the piece that will trigger the correct solution in this case. All right, so let's follow it for a few more ticks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And here we can already see this shape that is going to be a match, right? It will move through this little channel right here, also for tick synchronization purposes, but after a few more ticks, currently it is here, and here we have a match. This is a match, so this will trigger a 1. And again, for tick synchronization purposes, we have a few more diodes, right? But we have this pulse, this 1 tick pulse, where this signal is now emitted, this code shape right here. And it will move through this line. I think, as a matter of fact, yes, we have found several simultaneous solutions, because it turns out that if we smelt and layer paint combo floats 1 and 2, that will also work. In this particular case, the reason why it works is because we don't have a combo float. So the machine reasons that if we're gonna smelt and layer paint combo float 2 or not, it is also going to work, right? So this solution will also work. But there is a priority system that kicks in. So you see that this signal coming from the left and this one coming from the bottom, the signal coming from the left, it will cut this feed for 1 tick only, so that it gets blocked, so that this bottom signal gets blocked and the top one gets to move along. And it moves along, it kills a few other solutions on the way that would have generated a conflict. Otherwise, it will do that here again, because we have many parallel solutions right here. And then this pulse travels through here. And now we need to look at something important. So on the next tick, this signal that's currently in the transistor, it's going to be on this wire, and it's going to trigger the rising edge detector right here. And this rising edge detector is connected to all of these lanes that we have incoming. Now, there are a lot of lanes, right? What we have here, and now hopefully I'm not going to mess up. We've got 15 signals coming in from the left right here. This one is going to be the smelt type code shape. That one's going to be right here. Then we have the remainders of layers 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Let's see, is that correct? Yeah, I think it is. Then we are going to have... Jesus, I already forgot what was on these lines. What is on this line? What's on this orange line right here? Is it going to be combo floats 1 and... Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then combo floats 1, 2, 3, and then we have an additional line that I don't currently know what is on it. I'm gonna be brutally honest.
No, sorry. Okay, no. Remainders of layers 1, 2, 3, 4. The 5th layer. Then we have 3 combo floats. There we go, yes. Then we have another code shape that we haven't talked about yet, but I am also going to log in this code shape. I'm going to talk to you in an upcoming video. I'm going to talk to you about what this code shape is, what it does, and why we need it. And then we are going to also log in the 5 signals that come from the clock. right? So eventually we will lock in the 5 outputs from the actual clocks. There we go. We will lock in the remainders, we will lock in the 5th layer, we will lock in 2 code shapes, and we will lock in the combo float pieces. That's what we will do. So this game is still paused. On the next tick, we will trigger this one right here. Let's do that now. Tick, there we go. And now, on the next tick, all of the signals that are in these diodes right here, they will move in with they will move to the transistors, which will get enabled simultaneously within the same tick, because also the output of this rising edge detector, for 1 tick only, it is going to enable the transistors. 3, 2, 1, boom. There we go. And on the next tick, since we have a 0 right now, this is going to allow these signals to pass for 1 tick only, and it will stop the rest, right? So 3, 2, 1, tick, here we go. And now the signal is shut off again. So all of these signals, they get blocked by these transistors again, because they don't get a side input anymore, all right? Now we are in this module, so again, we have our 15 lines. They get loaded up into these simple memory cells. And while leftwards from the memory cells, the signals will only be stored for 1 tick only, the memory cells convert that into constant signals going right. So let's do that. There we go. Now, all of these signals, 15 in total, or up to 15 in total, they will get stored. And now I would like to look at something else that will happen. This top line right here, it is connected to a NOT gate. And what the NOT gate is going to do, let's advance 1 more tick, it is going to shut off a long line of transistors right here. This runs leftwards and then it runs back rightwards. It is going to kill this line, and this line in turn is going to kill the signal that came from the validator module to begin with. So this signal is captured once, and then immediately it's going to shut itself down. Now, why is that? You can already tell, actually. In the meantime, a few ticks later, the validator has found a different solution, and different signals are traveling through this machine. What this means is that actually, many solutions are possible, and what we want to avoid is that we constantly get positive signals, captured signals, validator solutions, and that they would trigger this capture mechanism over and over and over, meaning that we would constantly load up different signals into these memory cells, because sometimes you have more than one solution. And since the decoder iterates, it will find all of them. So what we want to do is first come, first served. As soon as we find one solution, then we want to kill any other solution that the decoder might find, right? And we want to do that as quickly as possible. So that's what happens. We've got a NOT gate attached right here. It's going to kill this, and it's going to prevent any other solution from making it through and getting captured. That's what happens right there. And simultaneously, we're going to follow this line along, this 0 line, because this one also travels quite a long distance, right? Here it is, there it is. It's actually going to travel all the way back. Here it is. It's going to travel all the way back. This one, yep, all the way back, all the way back, all the way back, to the beginning of the machine, to the beginning of the clock, and there it's going to shut down this signal, which got loaded up from our top level clock right here. It's going to shut down that signal which is going to kill this signal right here. And this signal is responsible for cycling through the very first clock. So 1 more tick, 2 more ticks, 3 more ticks, and now we have halted the clock. It will stop cycling, right? So maybe we get a few spasms still. No, this is where it ends. So all of these, we will see that this will still tick for a bit, but then it stops right here, right? This is the last value. This is where the clock stops, because I felt like, you know, it didn't really make sense to keep it running if we had, once we had found a solution. That's kind of the idea right there. So I think all in all, that gives you a pretty good idea about how that works, right? Now, the next thing I would like to do is I'm going to change the signal. Then we're going to come back here and we're going to see what happens, how the machine boots up and how it switches from one signal to the next. So let's go back to the hub. And I'm simply going to change the circles with rectangles or something, right? That is going to be a different shape. And we have a copy of the actual signal right here. So let's advance until we get the rectangle shape. There we go. So the first thing we did, well, actually it's a bit too late because the memory cells already got erased, but it's going to do that again because we have a change detector right here. What it is going to do is it's going to simultaneously trigger a white signal and a gray signal on all of these lines. You know, you see that they are systematically connected one by one. So from the top, we will be getting a gray, an uncolored paint signal. From the bottom, we will be getting a white signal, and they contradict each other, so they will create a conflict on the wire, right? Everything gets loaded up. This will erase the memory cells, and then this will also briefly interrupt this NOT gate right here. So this is erased, and now a few things are going to happen. Firstly, we are going to start sending ones into all of these, into this long chain. Why is this chain so long? Well, because if we rapidly switch from one shape to the next, then this validator module is still going to be running, because in the grand scheme of things, you know, this machine is moving. It's cycling through a lot of things rapidly. And if we interrupt, if we create a quick interruption on this wire, then that interruption is also going to be traveling through all of these modules, right? So what I want to avoid at any cost is that for some reason, we still happen to get like a false positive or something that triggers the machine into thinking it's found a solution of the previous shape. Maybe, you know, it pulsates one positive Boolean signal or something, and these signals get captured even though they don't correspond to the new shape anymore, right? So as long as that's the case, we have this very long chain. As long as these ones travel through this channel right here, we cannot capture any new signals. So there is a minimum time that the decoder will take before it can capture a signal. That's what that does. But what I actually want to do is, again, follow this wire along. This one signal, it got interrupted because it turned into a 0 the last time we found a solution, remember? And then now we're going to go back. Gonna go back. Doom-to-doom. Doom-to-doom-to-doom. Are we having fun on the journey? Yes. Yeah, and this signal is also going to get blocked by this one right here. This one is connected to a change detector. It has detected that we have a change of signal. it is briefly going to interrupt this signal. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then that is going to allow this signal from the other clock to pass, right? And now the mechanism will start over, all over again. And now we're going to take a look at how quickly this happens in real time. So pay close attention to this wire right here. It's going to briefly flash when a solution is found. And yeah, it's going to happen really quickly. There we go. Saw it? That's how that happens. Now, those pieces are locked in, the ones that we need, and this signal is shut off so that we no longer get any false positives. Let's see that again in real time, or looked at these displays from the hub. So let's count, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, right? As soon as we get this signal right here, that's when we found a solution, right? So roughly 8 to 9 seconds and we get our solution right there. And that's how that works. That's what I wanted to show you today. I thought it seemed interesting to me to have a look at the machine this way, simultaneously taking advantage to explain another module, which is the capturing mechanism. And I don't really think I've got anything more to add to that for today. As mentioned, in upcoming videos, we will still look at a few modules that succeed the capture mechanism, that are in charge of modifying some of these signals somewhat before they definitively get sent to processing. So I sincerely hope you're excited to see more. If you are, be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you get those updates, because believe it or not, we are still not even halfway through this series. There is still a lot of interesting stuff to come, and I, for one, am looking forward to it a lot. I hope you feel the same. So I would like to thank you for watching. Have a great day and see you soon. Take care. Bye.